Right, welcome back to another Uptempo Basketball video. My name is Brian Haferkamp. I'm the designer and creator of Uptempo Basketball. This is going to be the beginning of a replay, and I really like opening day, opening night replays. So this one I'm going to do 1995-96. Opening night, just play all the games on opening night, so you get a good flavor of all the teams and what they most likely look like at the beginning of the season when hope springs eternal, right, for everybody's team. This can be the Pacers at the Hawks. This is the first game of the night, and the Pacers won this one, I believe, behind a strong game from Reggie Miller. As I want to say, it's 111-106. I had it pulled up. So 111-106. Reggie. Where do they have? So Reggie had 32. Mark Jackson had 14. 26 for Ricky Pierce off the bench. Don't know if we're going to see that in this one. Leading the way was Steve Smith for the Hawks. The Hawks were sort of a mid-level team. Not really good, not really bad, just sort of in between. You can tell the difference between the teams when you look at the runs. So there's a 1 or 2% chance here for the Hawks, and that means they were sort of 10 to 30 in the league, 10 to 20, I'm sorry. And then 1 to 3 is the best that you can have. So they are top 10 in the league. 52 wins, only 46 for the Hawks. So you can sort of see in the runs, kind of what position, because I just did 1 to 10 is they get a 1 to 3. 10 to 20 or 11 to 20, they get the 1 to 2, and then 21 to the end of the league. However many teams that is, they get just a 1. So you can usually tell when the good and bad teams are playing one another. So without further ado, let's do the tip-off. Tip-off is 1 to 50 to the Pacers, 51 to 100 to the Hawks, and that's going to go tip to the Pacers. So I got my little ball possession arrow here, just so I can keep track of things as we go along. I will be playing with individual players, so it'll be for Indiana, Mark Jackson, Reggie Miller, Derek McKay. Sorry, McKee. I have that written wrong here, I think. McKee, Dale Davis, and Rick Smits. Antonio Davis coming off the bench. Mookie Blaylock, Steve Smith, Stacey Augmon, Plastic Man. This is Grant Long and Andrew Lang. Notable coming off the bench, Christian Leitner, who didn't get a lot of scoring opportunities that year necessarily. Alan Henderson, who I believe played for the Tar Heels or Duke, one or the other. So let's get this going. So first possession to Indiana, and this is going to be a 78. 78 is going to be a bucket. That comes from Ricky Pierce. So Pierce with the first 2 of the night. And Indiana takes a 2-0 lead. Here's a 44. That's going to be a 2-point attempt. That goes to Stacey Augmon, who's a 49% shooter. So he'll be facing off against Eddie Johnson, who is a +2 defender. So that turns his 49 to a 51. And he misses. So who was that? Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson with a good defense. And Augmon with the miss. So coming back down the floor is Indiana. Here's a 61. This is going to be a 2-point attempt that goes to Dale Davis. So a 45 that goes here. He's a 55% shooter, but he's going to be facing off against Grant Long, who's a -1 defender. So 54% chance for Davis, and he puts it in for 2. And that is a 4-0 lead for Indiana right off the bat. Here's an 86 3-point attempt from the Hawks. 3-pointer, that's going to go to Mookie Blaylock, who's a 37% shooter. He'll be going against Mark Jackson, who's a +1. So 38%, and he drains it, Mookie Blaylock, from downtown. with the three, and that's the first points for Atlanta. Back down the floor is the Pacers, and they promptly throw it away. And after the turnover, the Hawks come back and turn it over themselves. You can see the difference. So 1-3, that would have been a run for the Pacers, but here it is a turnover. So back-to-back turnovers in the game. And Indiana comes back down the floor. This is going to be a bucket from Rick Smits as he gets it down low, turns around, and puts in the two. 6-3 is our early score here in this first game of the 95-96 season. 63, that's going to be a bucket. That comes from Christian Laettner. So Laettner with two. Off the bench. Score is 6-5, Indiana over Atlanta. Here's a bucket. That comes from Reggie Miller as he gets his first two of the game and gets on the board for Indiana. 16, this will be free throws. That goes to Ken Norman. Ken Norman is a 35% free throw shooter. That's not great, but he makes the first, and he misses the second. So Norman, so that's a make and a miss. And the score is 8-6, Indiana over Atlanta. Here's a 50-50 as a two-point attempt. That goes to Rick Smits, who's a 52% shooter. He's being guarded by Andrew Lang, so he's a 53. Smits again. This is his second field goal of the game, and he's got 4 as he puts that one in. 10-6 is our score. 58, that's going to be a two-pointer, and that comes from Mookie Blaylock. 5 points for him early in the game. Here's a 6, so that's going to be turnover number 2 for Indiana. And a 17 as the Hawks come back down. They get to the free throw line, take it hard to the rim. This is going to be Stacey Ogman with the opportunity. 79% shooter from the free throw line. He makes the first and misses the second. And that's going to be just one there. And the score is 10-9, Indiana over Atlanta. Here's a bucket. That comes from R. Jackson as he gets on the board for the game. Like I said, I think you have 14 in the game in real life. So here's the Hawks. They get back down the floor. Stacey Ogman to the rim again. 79% shooter. He makes the first and the second. And so Ogman with 2 more from the line cuts the lead to 1. Indiana brings it back down the floor in their set offense, and they get a 2-point attempt from Rick Smits. And he is guarded this time by Christian Laettner, who's a -1 defender. So that takes him down to a 51%. Doesn't matter as Smits is on his game, and he's got 2 more. So 14-11 is our score. Here's another free throw attempt. This time it's Grant Long underneath. He's a 76% shooter. He makes both of them. And that's 2 more for Atlanta. The score is 14-13. Nice tight game here in the first quarter. Here's a 41. That's going to be a 2-point attempt from Rick Smits again. And he's guarded by Andrew Lang, so he goes up to a 53% shooter. And at this point, they cannot stop Rick Smits underneath with the turnaround jumper. Here's a 35. 35 is going to be a 2-point attempt. That comes from Grant Long. Long is being guarded by Dale Davis, who's a -2 defender. So he goes down to a 46% shooter. And doesn't matter there as Long turns around, puts it in. And that's going to be 2 more for the Hawks. Indiana comes down. They commit their 3rd turnover. And that goes right back to Atlanta. Atlanta with a 3-point opportunity here. This goes to Steve Smith from the 3. He's guarded by Reggie Miller, who's a +3 defender. Miller, not a great defender, great offensive player, not much of a defensive player. So that's going to go up to a 36% 3-point shot. And he drains it, Steve Smith, with 3. And that gives the Hawks their first lead of the game, 18-16 over Indiana. Here's a 2-pointer. That goes to Smits again. He'll be guarded by Laettner, so it's a -1. He's a 51%. And he's got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in the quarter. So quick start for Rick Smits. And there's a 27. This will be free throws going to Stacey Ogman. He makes the first and misses the second. So not a great start for Stacey Ogman, honestly. He's missed a shot and 2 free throws here. He's missed more than he's made. Indiana comes back down the floor, and they give it to Dale Davis underneath, and he goes to the line for 2. He makes the first. He is just a 46% free throw shooter. He makes the first and misses the second. So not a great free throw shooting team necessarily. A couple guys real bad. But not, well, maybe not so bad. 75%, 75%, maybe just average free throw shooting teams. So Atlanta comes back down the floor. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the half. They throw it away. That'll be their second turnover of the game. And Indiana into their half court set. This is going to be a shot for Ricky Pierce that is up and in. And he's got 4 in the game. Okay, here's a scoring run for Atlanta. Good chance here. A 30. 30 is going to be a 9-2 run for the Hawks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 2 here. So let's go to our cards and we'll figure out how they got to that 9-2 run. So it looks like it's going to be, hopefully we're still here. Yeah. A 40. 40 is going to be the second line. So it's going to be an M1 for the shooting guard. That's going to be Steve Smith. So 2 plus 1, a 2 and a 3 for Stacey Ogman. And that's going to be 1 free throw for Andrew Lang. There's a bucket for Dale Davis, and that's the 2 for Indiana. So we'll take our 2 minutes off the clock. That brings us down to 40 seconds left in the first quarter, and it will be Indiana ball. Our score is 28-23 as Atlanta storms ahead with that 9-2 run to end the second quarter. 68 is going to be a bucket. This will be to Reggie Miller. So Miller with his second 2 of the game. And Atlanta gets the last roll here in the quarter. They take it hard to the rim. This will be Grant Long underneath. He's a 76% shooter. Makes the first and makes the second. And he's got 6 in to start the game. All right, that's going to end our first quarter. And the score is 30-25 Atlanta. Well, let's double check everything. So make sure that we got everything. I don't know if the score is actually that. 2, 4, 5. 10 for Rick Smits. So this is 8, 10, 15, 25. So that's correct. So 25 and we got 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 points for Stacey Ogman. He's well on his way. 6 for Long. 1 and a bucket for Leitner. So 11, 20, 27, 28, 30. Okay. So that our scores are good. I'm doing good keeping track of everything so far. 30-25 is our score. We head to the second quarter. It's going to be Indiana ball to start the second quarter. So we head over to the next quarter. I'm using the Uptempo Basketball application online. You're free to use that. This is actually in the game guide. I believe I have a link to it in the game guide itself. So whenever you purchase the game or you download the game guide, you can see this little application. You touch the time to take 2 minutes off of the clock until the fourth quarter. Then you got to take it off yourself manually. But it'll take the 2 minutes off. It'll even roll over. So if you're at 1 minute left in the quarter, it'll roll over and take a minute off in the next quarter. So it does a lot of things automatically for you. And you have the different roles. Anytime you touch one of these, it'll give you a new roll without taking any time off the clock. So sometimes that needs to happen in the game. And when you click roll, it rolls all of them together and takes the 20 seconds off the clock. So kind of a nice little application. Helps to cut down your footprint. Footprint is pretty small here, just the cards, score sheet, and we do have our runs cards over here. So I like it. It helps to sort of roll a bunch all at a time and have them easily there for you to reference. All right, Pacers ball. Start of the second quarter. This will be a 35. 35 is free throw attempts. That's going to go to Ricky Pierce. He's an 84% shooter, which is good because he rolled an 82. So that's one good and two good for Ricky Pierce as he starts off this second quarter with a couple of points. 32, that's going to be back the other way with Atlanta. Free throws for Steve Smith, another good free throw shooter, and he makes both. So Smith now with 8 in the game. Indiana ball. That'll be a bucket to Ricky Pierce. So Pierce, just like in the game, getting hot. And let's see what Atlanta has. Atlanta comes back down the floor. This is going to be a bucket to Steve Smith as he puts in his second. And it's here in the second quarter, it's Steve Smith against Ricky Pierce. There's a 64. That's going to be an and one. So that means there is an automatic bucket with a chance for a three-point play, so traditional three-point play. This will go to Rick Smits down low as he turns baseline. He goes up and he puts it in and he gets hacked. He's got a 24. He's a 78% shooter, so that's going to be a three-point play for Mr. Smits. The old-fashioned, old-school three there. And Atlanta comes back. What can they counter with? This is getting to the rim is Grant Long underneath. He's a 76% shooter. Makes the first and the second. And he's got 2 in the second quarter. Our score is 36-32. That's going to be Atlanta ahead. Here's an 85. Indiana's got kind of a high three-point threshold here. Most of them were taken by Jackson or Miller. So not a lot of threes at this point, but as they get along, they start to shoot a lot more. So an 85, that's going to be a bucket. That comes from Derek McKee, and that's the first time we've called his name, I believe, in the game. 85 back the other way, you can see they shot a lot more threes. So three-point attempt. This comes from Mookie Blaylock, who is going to be a 38%, and he misses badly. As I like to put a little square around it when it's a three-point miss. There's a 33 back the other way of the Pacers. They get to the rim. This is going to be Reggie as he drives down the lane and gets hammered. He is an 86% free throw shooter. So excellent from the line, and he puts both in. It'd be 36-36, all tied up here in Atlanta, opening night, 1995, 95-96 season. So there's a 37. That's going to be a two-point attempt. That comes from 85. That is Alan Henderson, who's a 44% shooter. He's facing off against Dale Davis, who's a -2. So that puts him down to a 42% opportunity. And he cannot come through. That's Henderson. So back the other way on the miss are the Pacers. They come down, and it's going to be Reggie from 3 as he bangs it in as he was so wont to do in his career. And the Hawks, can they answer? They come down. They take it to the rim hard with Steve Smith as he makes both. And so that's going to be 6 in the quarter for Steve Smith. 39-38 Pacers. And it's a 54. 54 is a two-point attempt. That's going to go to Dale Davis. Davis being guarded by Alan Henderson. Henderson is a neutral defender, so Davis with the 55% chance. He turns around and puts it in. And that's going to be a bucket for Indiana. reset here. So the Hawks come back down the floor. They're down by 3, 41-38. Here's a 68. This is going to be a 2-point attempt. That comes from Steve Smith. So that is up and in, as he's got 8 in the quarter. Brings the Hawks back to within 1. Here's a 4. They just missed that run, and instead, that's a turnover. And let's see if the Hawks can capitalize. They can't. They come down and turn it over themselves. And the Pacers back down the floor. They'll take it to the rim. This is Rick Smits to the line. He makes the first and the second, as he's got 5 in the quarter. 43-40 is our score. Indiana over Atlanta. Here comes a bucket. This is from Ken Norman. Ken Norman with 1 in the game so far. Now he's got 3. And that draws Atlanta back within 2 or within 1. Here's an 81. This is going to be an auto bucket from Dale Davis as they get out on the break, and Davis lays it in for 2. Atlanta back with the ball. This is a 71. This is going to be a bucket. That comes from Alan Henderson. Henderson missed his first shot in the quarter, but makes this one as he gets to the front of the rim and lays it in. 10, that's going to be a throwaway for the Pacers, as they have 5 turnovers already in the first half. And the Hawks can't do much better. They're not able to capitalize as they throw it away themselves. And here's a free throw. That comes from Dale Davis, 46% shooter. He does make the first, and he does make the second. So look at that, 46%, and he drains them both as if he was a 95% shooter. Here's a 35. 35 is going to be a 2-point attempt. That comes from Christian Laettner. He's at naturally 50%. He's guarded by Rick Smits, who is a neutral defender, so 1 to 50 chance. And Laettner with the deuce. So 4 in the game off the bench for Christian Laettner, the former Duke All-American Player of the Year. Here's a 71. That's going to be buckets to Rick Smits, as Smits beginning to heat up here in the second quarter. 49-46 is our score. Indiana over Atlanta with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the half. 56 is going to be an and one. That goes to Ken Norman, and he's only a 35% free throw shooter, so he's going to miss that, but he does knock in the bucket, and so he gets 2. That's going to be the lead is now 49-48 for Indiana. Nobody quite pulling away here, even though we have had 1 run in the game. 83, and that's going to be buckets to Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller with 7 in the quarter. He's got 11 for the game. There's a 48. 48 is going to be a 2-point attempt. That goes to Grant Long. Long being guarded by Antonio Davis, who's a neutral defender off the bench. So 1 to 48, and Long puts it in for his 4th point of the quarter. 51-50 is our score here. Indiana still ahead. I don't think I did that. So 86 is going to be an auto bucket. That's from Mark Jackson, his first 2 of the quarter. He's got 4 for the game. And 53-50 is our score. There's a 38. That's a 2-point attempt by Grant Long. Long, again, being guarded by Davis. So that's going to be 48, 1 to 48. And smooth as silk, Grant Long puts it in for his 6th point of the quarter. Here's a 20. To the free throw line goes Dale Davis. Terrible free throw shooter. He misses the first, and he makes the second. And that's going to be 1 for Indiana, as their lead is now 54-52. And a turnover from the Hawks. That's turnover number 5 for Atlanta. And coming back the other way is Indiana. That's going to be an and one. That goes to Mark Jackson as he takes it hard down the lane, and he puts it in for the 2. So he also gets the free throw. So traditional 3-point play there for Mark Jackson. Big play. 1 minute left in the quarter, in the half. That's going to be free throw attempts to Stacey Ogman. Good free throw shooter at 79%, and he puts them both in. Most of the good scorers are great at the free throw line. They make a lot of hay at the free throw line. So 66, that's going to be an auto bucket that goes to Ricky Pierce. Haven't heard from Pierce for a while, but he's got 6 in the quarter. And the lead is 59-54, Indiana over Atlanta. Last play of the half, and that'll be a 2-point shot that goes to Spud Webb. Haven't called Spud Webb's name yet. So he's being guarded by Haywood Workman. Workman is a -1. Webb is now a 51% shooter, and he pulls up and he drains it for his first bucket of the game. And that's going to be our score at the half. Sorry about that. It's 59-56, tentatively 59-56. That's what I've got. And so we got 5 here. 7, 6, 2, 2, 4, 6, 7, 3, 5, 7. A lot of 7s there. So 1, 2, 3, 21 plus 8 is 29 plus 5 is 34. So good quarter there. Good quarter there. And that matches up with what we have. So I feel very confident about that 59. And we'll just mark that. I like to mark where the quarters start and stop. It doesn't always work if the runs go over, but it goes well enough. There's an 8, a 2, a 4, 6, 2, and 2. All right, so 10, 12, 16, 22, 24, 26. And that's what we have there. So I'm actually doing a lot better here with my scoring. Usually I'm missing something, so that's why I always say kind of tentatively that that's what the score is. But I'm doing a lot better here. Okay, so our halftime score is 59-56. This is Indiana over Atlanta. In our opening night for the 95-96 season, opening night replay. And the tip-off is going to go, sorry, I'm going to give the possession to Indiana, so they're sort of back and forth after the initial tip-off. I don't do any sort of second half tip-off or anything. Both teams with 5 turnovers, evenly matched. It's just been back and forth, even though the Hawks had a 9-2 run at one point. So let's go over to the next quarter. It takes us to the third, and first possession for the Pacers. That's going to be a bucket that comes from Rick Smits as he picks up right where he left off. He's got 19 now in the game. So really nice game for Rick Smits. 22, that's going to be free throws. That goes to Alan Henderson, 59% shooter, and he rattles the second one in as he makes them both. It's 61-58, Indiana. Here's a bucket that comes from Eddie Johnson, the ageless one. Here is 2 points for Eddie Johnson. 77, that's going to be a bucket that goes to Grant Long. Long having a nice game. He's got 12-14 in the game now. And Indiana brings it back down the floor. They get to the free throw line. This will be Sir Reggie Miller with 2, and he knocks them both in. 2 free throws for Reggie, and he's got 11-13 in a game. 78 is going to be a bucket that goes to Stacey Ogman, the plastic man, as he gets to the rim. Great player from UNLV. If you've never watched him play in college, you should go back and see some of those highlights on YouTube. 44 is a 2-point attempt. That goes to Ricky Pierce. He's at 47%. He's being guarded by Steve Smith, who is a +5, so that bumps him up to 52%. And it doesn't matter as he misses anyway. And Ricky Pierce with the miss. Pierce having a good game, though. He's got 10 off the bench for Indiana. Here's a 64, so the Hawks bring it right down the floor. They push it up the floor. That's going to be, who is that? Craig Elo with the pull-up jumper from the corner as they kick it out, and that's Elo's first 2 of the game. Here's a 28. That's to the line for Dale Davis. Dale Davis, not a great free throw shooter. He misses the first, and he misses the second. So not a good opportunity there for Mr. Davis. I'm not sure if I gave him the bucket there. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. I did. Okay, good. Back to Atlanta. Here's a 67. That's going to be a bucket. That goes to Steve Smith. Steve Smith with his first 2 of the second half. 66-65, the Atlanta Hawks take the lead there. And this is going to be actually an and one. So CT4 is an and one, and that goes to Ricky Pierce. So he's an 84% free throw shooter, and he completes the 3-point play. So shooter's got to shoot, and Ricky Pierce takes care of that one. Here's a 22. This is back to the free throw line for Stacey Ogman. He misses the first and makes the second. So a rare miss for Stacey Ogman. Sorry, that should be 1. A miss and a make. So 68-67, Indiana is in the lead, and they come down and commit the turnover. Atlanta Hawks bat down the floor as they get to the rim. This is going to be Grant Long underneath as he gets hacked, and 76% free throw shooter. Makes the first, misses the second. And not great free throw shooting being exhibited by both teams. To the line goes Mark Jackson, and he's a 78% shooter. Makes the first and misses the second. This is it's getting rough for both of these teams. Let's make sure we're on here. Okay. So he makes the first. That's going to be 69-68 as he pushes Indiana gently into the lead. And this will be a bucket to Grant Long. Grant Long strong here in the second half. He's got 5 points to start the quarter. Seesaw battle between the Pacers and the Hawks. The Pacers bring it down the floor and they go to the line. This is going to be Reggie getting to the line, and he makes the first and makes the second. So Miller with 4 in the half. 71-70, Pacers over the Hawks as they are back and forth here. This is going to be a scoring run, though. It'll be a 9-2 run, another 9-2 run for the Hawks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let's see, 1, 2 for the Hawks. So 9-2, and let's see how we got there. It's a 6, right? So 6 is going to be the first line. So this is going to be some scoring from Mookie Blaylock. So 2, 4, 6 from Blaylock. Here's a couple of free throws and 1 free throw from the power forward Long. The 2 points go to Reggie Miller. So that's going to be a 9-2 run for the Hawks. Let's take our 2 minutes off the clock. So 4 minutes left in the third, and the Pacers promptly come down and throw it away. So another opportunity for the Hawks to pull away here. That's going to be a 3-point attempt from Steve Smith. He's a 33% shooter. He's guarded by Reggie Miller. So it turns him into a 36% shooter. Doesn't matter, as Smith misses a 3. So that was an opportunity missed, literally, by the Hawks. Here's going to be a bucket. That goes to Dale Davis down low as he comes in with the 2-pointer. 79-75, Atlanta over Indiana. Here's a 62. That's going to be a bucket. That comes from Stacey Ogman as he puts in the 2. Dogfight here for the Pacers on opening night. Here's a 47. That'll be a 2-point attempt. That goes to Rick Smits. He is guarded by Andrew Lang, who is a 1. So that turns him into a 53% shooter. Smits turns around, bangs it off the glass, and that's going to be a 81-77 lead now for Atlanta as they bring the ball down the court. To the line goes Grant Long for 2. He's going to make both of them. And Grant Long having a nice game for the Hawks as they look to upset the Pacers in this one. Here's a 52. 52 is going to be a 2-point attempt. That comes from Ricky Pierce. Pierce being guarded by Steve Smith, who's a +5, so 52% is our target here. And Ricky Pierce with the jumper, contested, but he puts it in for 2. That's going to be 83-79, our lead for the Hawks. Here's a 2-point bucket that comes from Andrew Lang. Lang getting on the board. He's got 3 for the game. His first pair in the second half. Pacers come down and just sloppy basketball, throwing it away. That's 8 turnovers now, but Atlanta can't do much better as they come and throw it away themselves. Here's a bucket. Here's to Derek McKee. We haven't called his name a lot. He's only got 4 now in the game, and so that's going to be a the lead is 85-81 to the Hawks, and last play of the quarter is going to go to Atlanta. That's going to be 2 points from Steve Smith, as he's got 6 in the quarter. All right, so tentatively our score is 87-81 Hawks over the Pacers. So let's just make sure that that is the case. We got 1, 6, 5, 2, 2, 2, and 4. So 7, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22. And where did we miss off last time? So that should be 79-81. Okay, that's good. And we got 6, 2, 4, 6. It's 5, 2, 4, 6, 8. So a really good quarter there for Grant Long, as he knocked in 8 points. So 12, 14, 19, 27, 29, 31. Should be 87. All right. Excellent. Excellent. So that is going to be our score, 81-87, as the Hawks put in 31 points that quarter. So that was a big one for them. All right, we head to the fourth quarter. It's 87-81, Atlanta over Indiana. Could be a little bit of a minor upset here. Let's see how the Pacers respond here in the fourth quarter. They come out with a bucket. That's going to be for Mark Jackson, as he gets 2 and a little floater in the lane. So that's going to be to Atlanta. Atlanta goes on another scoring run. This time it's going to be 6-0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have to take the 2 minutes off manually, so 9:20. And we got our 6-0 run here. It's going to be a 42. 42 is this line here. So 2 free throws for Smith. And what is it? And then that's going to be a 4-point play for Stacey Augmon as he hits the 3 and gets the and-1. And that's how we get to our 6-0 run. All right. So it's 93-83. So the Atlanta Hawks really stretching the lead here. This is going to be a 2-point attempt that goes to Eddie Johnson. He's being guarded by Stacey Augmon, who's a +2. Would expect a lower number than that, but so 45%, and Eddie Johnson misses. So the Hawks bring it back down the floor after the miss. They get to the free throw line. This will be Spud Webb at the line. 85% shooter. He makes them both, and he's got 4 for the game. 95-83 is our score. So 12-point lead for the Hawks, beginning of the quarter. Here's a 61. 61 is going to be a 2-point attempt that goes to Dale Davis. Davis is being guarded by Henderson, who's a neutral defender. So that's going to be a 55% opportunity, and Davis misses. So I can't have too many of those misses here in the fourth quarter for the Pacers. 85 is a 3-point attempt that comes from Mookie Blaylock. Blaylock is guarded by Jackson, who's a 1, and so it's going to be a 38. 1 to 38 is a make, and that's going to be a miss for Mookie Blaylock from 3. Here come the Pacers. That's going to be a 20. 20 is to the line, and that'll be from Reggie Miller as he makes them both. And we'll see if it's Miller time in the fourth quarter. The Hawks, here's a 2-point attempt that comes from Stacey Augmon. Augmon being guarded by Eddie Johnson, who's a +2, so that makes him a 51% shooter, and that is up and in as he hits the bucket. 97 to 85, still a 12-point lead. Here's an 86 that's going to go right to Derek McKee as he pulls up and he drains the jumper. The lead back to 9. Is that right? 9? 97, 87, lead back to 10. The Hawks come down and they throw it away. That's their 7th turnover. Now let's see if Indiana could capitalize. They do. They come down, and it is Reggie from the top of the key. He drains the 3. That's 5 quick ones for Reggie Miller. And the score is now 97-90 as Atlanta goes back to the line. This is Grant Long, 76% shooter. He makes them both. Long with a really nice game. He's got 12, 20. He's got 22 now in the game. And Indiana goes to the line. This will be a 72. That's Ricky Pierce, good free throw shooter. He makes 1 of 2 though, so a lot of missed opportunities here for Indiana in the second half. Atlanta comes down and throws it away. So they're leaving the door open for the Pacers. Pacers come back to the line, and that's going to be Ricky Pierce again as he makes up and puts them both in this time. He's got 3 in a quarter, and the score is 99-92, 7-point lead for the Hawks. This will be a bucket that comes from Stacey Augmon. Augmon with 2. He's having an excellent game, and we'll total all these up when we get to the end, see where everybody stands. Indiana back to the line. This is going to be Mark Jackson as he gets fouled going to the rim. And 78% shooter. He misses the first and makes the second. So a lot of points being left out there for Indiana. And 82, that's going to be 2 points from Andrew Lang, which we haven't heard a lot of in this game, but he comes through in the fourth quarter. 103 to 93, so lead back up to 10. The Pacers come, and that is their 9th turnover of the game. Let's see if the Hawks can capitalize on that. They do. This is going to be a jumper from Craig Elo. Where's Elo? He's got 4 in the game, all in the second half. 55 is going to be a 2-point attempt that goes to Eddie Johnson. He is being guarded by Stacey Augmon, who's a +2, so that puts him at a 45% chance, and he cannot hit on the jumper. He's missed both of his 2-point attempts here in the second half. Here's a 32. Back to the free throw line goes Stacey Augmon, and he hits both as he continues his good game for the Hawks. So maybe a bit of a surprise here. Got 2.5 minutes left in the game. Free throw attempt goes to Reggie Miller as he hits both of them. And Miller with 3.57 in the fourth quarter. The Hawks back down the floor undeterred, and it's Grant Long continuing his good game as he's been strong in this game. 109 to 95 is our score. The lead back to 14. Here's a 78 that goes to Reggie as he puts in another bucket. And might be too little too late here for them as the Atlanta Hawks are going to go on a scoring run to end this game and really put it away. So that's going to be a 51. That'll be a 6-0 run to end the game. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to be that. Let's get our scoring run to see how that happened. It's an 87. 87 is here on this last line. So 2 free throws for Ogman, and 4 points for Long, as he has a strong 8-point quarter, and that is going to bring us down to the end of the game. And tentatively 115 to 97, so a little bit of a crush here. Let's check out the points. So 3, 2, 4, 6, 9. Reggie showed up for the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, Johnson and Davis had a rough one. No Rick Smits in the fourth quarter. So 12, 15, 17 points. Is that right? Where did we end? Boy, I don't remember where we ended up. There it is. So 17 will put us at 98. 12, 15, 17. Okay, so this is at 98. I must have missed one somewhere. And 2, so 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oof, huge fourth quarter for Ogman. 8 for Long at 2, so 2, 4, 6, 18, 26, 28. And let's see if that's correct here. So it should be 115, right? Yeah, that's where we are. Okay. So 115 to 98 is our final, as Atlanta consistently scoring and just a real dud of a quarter for Indiana, as they couldn't come back with the deficit. 9 turnovers for Indiana, and let's total up here. So 7, 8, 11 for Mark Jackson, 11, 17, 26 for Reggie Miller, 10, 15, 18. Really nice game for Ricky Pierce off the bench for 6. And here's 2 for Eddie Johnson. 12, 14 for Davis. Nothing for Antonio Davis. 17, 21, as 17 in the first half for Rick Smits, but he got really shut down in the second half. So 26 for Reggie, 18 for Ricky Pierce off the bench. And that's going to be 11 for Mookie Blaylock. 4 off the bench for Spud Webb. So 14, 22, 22 for Steve Smith. Nice game for him. 4 off the bench for Craig Elo. 11, 16 plus 12, 28. So leading the way, Stacey Ogman, I believe, with 28. And here's 12, 20, 28. Actually tied, huh? It's Grant Long. So nice game for him opening night. And 1, 3, 5 for Lang, and 4 off the bench for Christian Leitner. So high man of the game is tied, Stacey Ogman and Grant Long, both with 28 apiece, 22 for Steve Smith. So really nice game. 11 for Mookie Blaylock. And if we compare it to the actual game, let's see if we still have that. Oh, we do. So Miller 32, he had 26 in the game here. Ricky Pierce off the bench with 26. He had 18 here. 14 for Mark Jackson, 11 in this game. 21 for Rick Smits, and Smits in the game. Looks like he didn't play, actually. He didn't play in this game, huh? Maybe it was hurt. It was Dwayne Shinsis, I guess, that got the start. So to play 23 minutes. And 14 for Davis, so he only had 4 in the real game. For Atlanta, it was Andrew Lang leading the way for them. He only had 5 here, but Grant Long had 10, Blaylock had 10, 11 here. Of course, Grant Long had 28 here in our game. Steve Smith with 20, had 22, and Stacey Augman with 13, but he had a much better game in this one. So, um, you know, Craig Elo had 14 off the bench. He only had 4 here. So it's the game's not going to come out exactly, but players come and they play. Your starter's going to score the bulk of your points, and that is going to be our first game of the books. 1995-96 opening night. Indiana loses on the road to Atlanta 115-98. And the next game up will be Boston and Milwaukee. So that'll be the next game up. All right. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comments section below. You can purchase this game at uptempobasketball.com or uptempobasketballgame.com. And if you want to send me an email, you can send that to uptempobasketballgame@gmail.com. And if you have any questions or concerns about the game or any comments you want to make, just by email. All right. I think that's it from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.